You like to laugh?
I love to laugh. How did you know?
Call it a hunch.
Picture it, a basement bar in Boston where the glasses clink just right. The lighting is warm enough to make even a bad day feel better. And everybody, at least in theory, knows your name. What most fans don't know is how many little quirks, last-minute decisions, and serendipitous accidents made Cheers feel so effortlessly real. From characters invented on the spot to heartfelt memorials tucked into the set, the show's history is a mix of craft and happy chaos. And that, maybe more than anything, is why it still hits like a perfect pour. We're about to slide down 15 weird, wonderful facts behind the scenes. Some you've heard in whispers, others hiding in plain sight. Each one a reminder that TV magic is built on dozens of tiny choices you barely notice. If you dig TV deep dives like this, tap like and subscribe so you don't miss the next round. Alright, take a stool. Let's count it down. 15. Ted Danson's secret assist. Sam Malone's swagger didn't come from a wind machine. It came from intention, and sometimes a little hardware. During the run of Cheers, Ted Danson often wore a discreet hairpiece to keep Sam's heartthrob silhouette consistent under hot lights and long shooting days. It wasn't vanity so much as continuity. Sam needed to look like Sam in Season 2, the same way he looked in Season 8, even if shooting schedules, angles, and time itself weren't always on his side. If you've ever wondered why the bar glow never betrayed him, that's part of the trick. The fun twist is how Danson later embraced a different look in post-Cheers roles, almost winking at the old image. It's one of those invisible choices you don't register until you re-watch with a sharper eye. You start noticing how the camera favors him on certain entrances and how the hair never breaks the fantasy, because the fantasy was the job. And yet Sam never feels plastic. He feels lived in, like a guy whose confidence is slightly bigger than his batting average. 14. Norm's mug wasn't full of beer. Norm's legendary thirst powered countless punchlines, but the prop team wasn't reckless. The beer in those bottomless mugs was typically near beer or apple juice, something that would foam on cue without sabotaging anyone's timing or sobriety. Getting that pour right became its own tiny art form, a head that pops for the audience, a level that holds for multiple takes, a color that reads as beer under set lights. It's the sort of microcraft you only notice when it goes wrong. Sticky glass, dead foam, the wrong shade of amber. And George Wendt had to calibrate his sips so the mug's level matched the edit, which sounds silly until you imagine resetting the scene, because the hero prop drank itself continuity blind. The result is a running joke with a believable rhythm. You believe this guy walks in, puts the day down, and picks the mug up. Norm's line lands, the audience pops, and the beer becomes a metronome for the show's timing. 13. Rhea Perlman's pregnancies shaped Carla. Carla's biting quips and supernatural fertility became a plot engine in part because real life insisted on it. When Rhea Perlman was pregnant, the show often wrote it in, folding the news into Carla's ever-growing and, yes, chaotic family tree. It could have felt like a cheat, but on Cheers it played like truth. A tough-as-nails waitress whose big, messy life kept crashing the neatness of a 22-minute sitcom. It gave Carla warmth without sanding off her edges, and it let the show explore parenting from a working-class, no-nonsense perspective you didn't always see on TV. The humor wasn't just Carla's pregnant again. It was how her news ricocheted around the bar, Sam's soft grin, Diane's anthropological curiosity, Woody's sweet confusion. The pregnancies kept the world moving forward. Season to season, the way a neighborhood actually does. It's a reminder that sitcom status quo can still breathe, and that big character choices sometimes come from very practical production decisions. 12. Hillary Norman Peterson. If you want a pure trivia flex, here it is. Norm's full name is Hillary Norman Peterson. It's the sort of blink and you miss it gag that Cheers loved. Quirky, never labored, and delivered with enough confidence that it doesn't need a cymbal crash. The beauty is how it recolors everything we think we know about Norm. Suddenly, the bar's friendliest curmudgeon has a name that sounds like it belongs in a different life, a different story, maybe a family expectation he never quite fit. The show doesn't psychoanalyze him. It just drops the detail and lets you chuckle at the idea of Hillary claiming the corner stool. And that's very Cheers. The more you learn about these people, tiny facts, whispered backstories, the more you realize how much they're hiding in humor. The line lands, the audience roars, and the moment passes, but the name sticks in your head like a secret handshake. Try it at a pub quiz and watch someone's jaw drop. 11. A father lost, then found, kind of. On Cheers, Frasier Crane casually references his father as deceased, and even paints his family as scientific types. Years later, Frasier's spin-off reintroduces Dad as Martin Crane, a retired cop, very much alive and very much not a scientist. Is it a mistake? A retcon? Or is it just Frasier being Frasier, massaging his own mythology to fit the moment? Fans still debate it, but the whiplash became an unexpected gift. It lets you read Frasier's unreliable narration as a character trait, not just a continuity glitch. On Cheers, he's the guy who wants to be seen a certain way, particularly in the shadow of Sam and Diane. On Frasier, he's forced into truth by Dad's recliner, a yappy dog, and a Seattle apartment that doesn't care about his self-image. The error becomes a theme. How the stories we tell about ourselves eventually run into the people who know us best. 10. The Bull and Finch versus the bar you know. Ask a Boston tourist where Cheers is, and you'll get a selfie of a very real facade, the Bull and Finch pub, later branded for the show. But step inside, and it's not the set you remember. The interior was purpose-built in Los Angeles for live audience taping, sightlines tuned for laughs, the bar length measured for entrances, and the back room positioned so characters could slip in and out like stage actors. That duality, real world outside, carefully tuned fantasy inside, feeds the show's dreamlike familiarity. We believe in the neighborhood bar because the bones are right, a staircase that frames arrivals, a door that punctuates punchlines, the soft clink that tells you we're rolling. It's TV architecture, and it works so well you forget it's architecture at all. The exterior grounds you in a place. The set teaches you how to feel when the bells on the door ring. 9. The theme song almost wasn't that theme song. Where everybody knows your name feels inevitable now, but early versions and alternates were tested before the show landed on its warm, wistful anthem. The final choice sneaks in melancholy. Those opening chords carry just enough sadness to make the jokes hit sweeter. It's a magic trick. You walk into a sitcom and the song tells you this is about loneliness and connection, not just zingers. The lyrics do a lot of heavy lifting too. Rhymes that sound like conversation, not cleverness for its own sake. And once the audience claps into that first scene, the music lingers like the smell of wood polish. Swap the song, and you risk a different show. Something broader, louder, maybe funnier in the moment, but thinner in the bones. Cheers understood that a theme isn't branding, it's story. The tune doesn't just introduce the bar, it names the ache that brings you back to it. 8. Woody's gentle arrival after a real loss. Nicholas Colasanto's passing hit the cast hard, and the writers made a humane choice. They didn't replace Coach's spirit. They brought in a different energy. Woody Harrelson's Woody Boyd wasn't a second coach. He was a sweet, earnest Indiana kid whose innocence opened new lanes of humor. The tonal math is delicate. You honor what was by not imitating it. Woody's malaprops and big-hearted loyalty gave the bar a soft light after grief, and the audience responded with gratitude. You can feel the cast recalibrate around him, like a team adjusting the playbook without losing the game. In a lesser show, this kind of transition can break reality. In Cheers, it deepened it. The bar felt like a place where people come and go, where laughter returns on its own timetable, and where a new bartender can become family if you give him a chance. 7. Lilith started as a blink, became a backbone. Bebe Neuwirth's first appearance as Lilith is restrained, buttoned up, clinical, almost a one-note joke about Frasier's match. And then something alchemical happens. The deadpan sharpens into a scalpel, the chemistry with grammar crackles, and the writers realize they're sitting on dynamite. Lilith evolves from a chilly punchline into one of TV's great sparring partners, a character who can puncture Frasier's pretension and still reveal a fierce tenderness. What began as a type becomes a person, and the show gains a new emotional register. Romance without syrup, intellect without snobbery. The lesson's a classic. When an actor finds the funny bone in a character's truth, keep writing to it. By the time Lilith is anchoring big arcs, it feels inevitable. As if she'd been waiting in the wings all along for the exact moment to step to the bar and order water. 6. Frasier, from speed bump to juggernaut. Originally, Frasier Crane was a short-term obstacle to the Sam and Diane roller coaster, a clever way to complicate their push-pull without changing the show's DNA. Then, Kelsey Grammer walked in with that voice, that posture, and a comedic rhythm that let the show tease him without ever flattening him. Audiences wanted more, and the writers obliged. Frasier becomes a resident of the bar's weird little village, a man who speaks in footnotes but still needs a friend to grab a beer with. His arc is a lesson in sitcom ecology. If a guest star harmonizes with the ensemble, expand the habitat. Years later, the spin-off turns the obstacle into an institution, proof that a character born to complicate romance can evolve into a story engine all his own. 5. The photo that kept Coach close. If you've ever spotted the Geronimo photo in Sam's office, you've brushed past a quiet memorial. The picture belonged to Nicholas Colasanto, who kept it as a good luck charm. After his death, the cast and crew placed it in Sam's office as a way to keep Coach present. Part tribute, part tradition. In the final episode, Sam pauses to straighten the frame, a gesture so small you could miss it, and yet it contains an ocean. That's Cheers at its most humane. Grief folded into ritual, memory turned into set dressing, love expressed by tidying a friend's talisman. It's not a very special episode. It's a bar, where people remember you the way you lived, by the things you touched, the jokes you told, the seat you warmed. Watch that moment again, and you'll feel the room breathe. 4. Vera was right there, and still unseen. Norm's long-suffering wife, Vera, became the show's running phantom, talked about constantly, never quite seen. The twist: when Vera finally does make a physical appearance, she's played by George Wendt's real-life wife, Bernadette Burkett. And in a perfect Cheers gag, a pie lands squarely on her face, so the bit preserves the mystery. It's the kind of joke that rewards loyal viewers. The show gives you what you've asked for, and then takes it away in a funnier package. Burkett also provided Vera's off-screen voice, which let the writers keep the marriage as a living, breathing thing, rather than a punchline dumping ground. Norm's love life becomes a comic ellipse. You feel the presence without seeing the picture, which somehow makes it feel more real. That's the bar logic again. We know our friends' partners through stories, not always through faces. 3. Cliff Clavin was pitched in the audition. John Ratzenberger didn't just win a role, he created one. After auditioning for Norm and sensing the door closing, he asked the producers if the show had a bar know-it-all, the guy who always has a fact, whether or not anyone asked. In that moment, Cliff Clavin shuffled into existence, postal uniform and all. What could have been a one-joke archetype turned into a reliable laugh machine because Ratzenberger rooted Cliff's trivia in character. He isn't just reciting almanacs. He's soothing insecurity, asserting value, trying to belong. That hidden tenderness lets the show tease him without cruelty. It also gives Cheers another rhythm section. Norm's grounded, Cliff's airborne, and together they turn a bar stool into a stage. It's a reminder that casting isn't just picking actors, it's collaborating with them to find the heartbeat of a place. 2. Sam was almost a quarterback. In early development, Sam Malone was sketched as a retired NFL quarterback. The team rethought it and made him a former Red Sox relief pitcher, smarter for Boston, better for plausibility, and perfect for a guy whose glory arrives in short bursts. A reliever's psychology maps neatly to Sam's charm. You enter hot, try to save the day, and live with the blown saves by telling better stories after last call. Making Sam a baseball guy also anchored the show in Boston's sports DNA without swallowing it whole. You can feel the city in the bar without the series becoming a sports comedy. The little pivot changed everything. How Sam carries himself, how fans react to him, even how a signed photo on the wall feels like local lore instead of generic fame. It's development jujitsu, one position shift that unlocks a more authentic world. 1. The awards cabinet and the real legacy. Yes, Cheers stacked Emmys like coasters, dozens of wins and nominations across its run, but the stranger legacy is how precisely the show's mechanics still hold up. Watch any season and you'll find the same alchemy. A bar that welcomes broken people without trying to fix them. A rhythm that trusts silence as much as punchlines. And an ensemble that can turn a look into a laugh. The trophies matter, but the blueprint matters more. Modern ensemble comedies, from workplace hangouts to found family apartments, borrow Cheers' geometry, a central space, concentric circles of regulars, and a door that always offers the hope of a better entrance. The weird fact, then, is simple. A sitcom about staying put taught TV how to move. The tools we take for granted, callbacks, bottle episodes that feel like plays. Recurring background bits were sharpened here, one last call at a time. Conclusion. In a universe of high-concept pitches, Cheers survived on something smaller and tougher. Human behavior observed with care. A hairpiece that preserved a silhouette. A beer prop that respected an actor's rhythm. A memorial photo that kept a friend in the room. A character made up in an audition. Another rescued from a short arc. A theme song that dared to be bittersweet. Stack those choices, and you get a show that doesn't chase zeitgeist. It becomes a place you return to. That's why the bar never feels dated. It feels lived in. If this trip behind the counter taught you something new, drop your favorite Cheers moment in the comments, and hit subscribe so we can keep pulling on threads from the best of classic TV. Same time tomorrow, first round's on the laugh track.